The gas station lights flickered against the ink-black sky, casting a dull, almost ghostly glow over the cracked pavement. Rain hadn't started yet, but the storm clouds were already gathering above like a warning. Eli stood there, jaw clenched, one hand buried deep in his pocket, the other gripping his hood tight against the bitter wind. His boots were soaked from the puddles, and his stomach had been growling for the past 4 hours. But food could wait. Everything had to wait. The tank of his rusty old pickup was nearly dry, and so was his wallet, except for the last crumpled $20 bill tucked behind a faded photo of his daughter. He glanced at it one more time, then looked up, his headlights cut through the rain-damp air. A sleek, black SUV pulled into the farthest pump. The engine was still humming when the driver's side door opened, and a woman stepped out. She was young, mid-20s, maybe, designer coat, heels way too elegant for a gas station on the edge of nowhere, and eyes darting like she'd just stepped out of a disaster. She opened her purse, checked inside, then slammed the car door harder than needed. Eli tried to ignore it. This wasn't his problem. But then she did something that made him pause. She leaned against her car, buried her face in her hands, and her shoulders trembled. Either she was crying, or she was freezing. Maybe both. His feet moved before his brain made the decision. "You okay, ma'am?" She looked up sharply. "No gas. Wallet's gone. I don't even know where to go." Eli nodded slowly. He could walk away. Lord knew no one ever stopped when he needed help. Not when his shop closed down. Not when his wife left. Not when he pawned his tools just to cover rent for a month. But something about her, maybe the panic in her voice or the way she clutched her coat like it was armor, made him dig into his pocket. He pulled out the 20, felt it like a weight in his palm, then handed it to her without a word. She blinked. "No, I can't. Pump 5 works." He gestured toward it, forcing a smile. "Pay first. They won't turn it on otherwise." She stared at him, stunned. "Thank you. I don't even know your name." "Eli. I'm Cara. Nice to meet you, Cara. Hope wherever you're headed, it's better than here." He turned before she could protest further. The wind picked up behind him as he walked toward his truck. His tank would stay empty tonight. No dinner, but at least she'd be off this roadside. What he didn't see was how long she stood there watching him go. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something, but couldn't. That night, thunder cracked the sky open like it was tearing fabric. Eli sat in the dark of his one-room rental above the old grocery store, wrapped in a blanket, watching the ceiling drip in the corner. He still hadn't eaten. The landlord had shut off the heat again. The world outside roared, but his life felt muted, numb. A knock broke through it all. 3 short knocks, then silence. Eli sat up, confused. No one came here, not unless it was trouble. Another knock. He got up slowly, heart pounding, and opened the door to see a man in a black coat holding a sealed envelope. "Are you Eli Madsen?" "Who's asking?" "I'm here on behalf of Miss Cara Whitmore. She asked me to deliver this to you tonight, without delay." Before Eli could reply, the man turned and disappeared down the stairs. He tore open the envelope with shaking hands. Inside, there was a note, just 2 lines written in neat handwriting. "You didn't know who I was, but you were the only one who helped. This is just the beginning. Cara." Behind the note was a cashier's check for $250,000. Eli sat down, stunned. His heart thumped so loud he thought it might burst. Why would she do this? Who was she? And what exactly had he just stepped into? The check sat on the kitchen counter like it didn't belong there, because it didn't. It looked alien against the chipped tile and rusted kettle, glowing under the weak bulb like it had its own pulse. Eli paced, running a hand through his rain-damp hair, over and over. He checked the back of the envelope again. Nothing. No number. No address. Just her name, Cara Whitmore. He pulled out his cracked phone and Googled her name. At first, nothing but a few common results. But then, his breath caught. Whitmore Enterprises. He clicked. Founder, Elizabeth Whitmore. Current acting CEO, Cara Whitmore. Age 27. Net worth, $4.6 billion. His heart pounded like a drum inside his chest. The same woman he'd handed his last $20 to, cold, stranded, vulnerable, was on the cover of Forbes just 4 months ago. She was standing beside a man in a suit, smiling stiffly, the headline reading, "Heiress of Steel, Cara Whitmore takes over family legacy amid scandal." Scandal? He kept reading. Following the abrupt death of her older brother in a high-profile car accident, the Whitmore empire has been rocked by internal power struggles. Sources confirm Cara was nearly removed from the boardroom, facing rumors of incompetence and betrayal by trusted staff members. Eli's knees gave out as he sank into the creaky chair. That woman, the one who looked lost, hurt, like she was running from something. She wasn't just some rich girl with car trouble. She was escaping something. And now she'd given him a check worth more than he could earn in 3 lifetimes. He had no idea what to do with that information. The next morning, Eli woke with a start to the sound of someone at his door again. But this time, not knocking, pounding. 3 men in dark suits stood on the other side when he opened it. Mr. Madsen, the tallest one, said, flashing a badge he didn't get a good look at. We need to speak with you. It's about Cara Whitmore. Eli froze. Is she okay? The man tilted his head. Depends on what you mean by okay. She's missing, and you were the last person seen with her before she disappeared off-grid. Eli's throat dried instantly. I just gave her gas money. That's it. She didn't tell me anything. They stepped forward, pushing past him like they didn't care. The apartment was small enough to scan in seconds. One of them picked up the envelope on the counter and held it up. This all she gave you? Eli nodded. That, and a thank you. The man's eyes narrowed. That thank you is enough money to buy this whole building. Either she owes you something very big, or you're not telling us everything. Eli didn't like the tone. Look, I don't know what's going on. She looked scared, lost. I helped. That's it. The men exchanged looks. One stepped forward and lowered his voice. You don't know what you've stepped into, son. Cara's not just some billionaire heiress. People are looking for her. Not just us. If she gave you that kind of money, she trusted you. That means someone else might come knocking soon. And they won't be this polite. He slapped a card on the table. If she contacts you again, call us. Immediately. They left without another word. The rain returned by afternoon, but Eli's head was spinning too hard to notice. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat. By nightfall, he stood by his window, staring out over the empty parking lot below. The envelope, the suits, the lies hidden in those online headlines. It didn't add up. Why would a woman like Cara be out there alone? Why not call a driver? A security team? A dozen options? Unless she didn't want to be found. Unless someone from her world had made her run. His thoughts were interrupted by a faint sound. His phone buzzing on the floor where he'd tossed it. Unknown number. He answered. A whisper. One word. Eli. His blood froze. Cara, please don't say anything. I only have 10 seconds. I need you to listen. She sounded breathless. Afraid. Everything you read about me, it's not the full story. I didn't run because I'm guilty. I ran because I found out who really killed my brother. And now they want me to disappear too. Eli clutched the phone. Where are you? Are you safe? I don't know. But you're the only person I could trust. You gave me your last dollar, Eli. You didn't know me, and you still helped. She paused. I'm going to send you something. A drive. If anything happens to me, take it to the press. Then the line went dead. And Eli stood there, heart racing, realizing that this wasn't just about kindness anymore. He was part of something dangerous now, and the storm wasn't over. It was just beginning. The package arrived the next day. No return address. Just his name, typed neatly on the label. Eli's fingers shook as he peeled back the tape, heart thudding like a war drum. Inside was a small black flash drive taped to the inside of a folded note. He didn't need to read it to know it was from her, but he did anyway. Don't show this to the police. Don't trust anyone in a suit. If this falls into the wrong hands, I'll be next. The man who runs my father's company isn't just stealing money. He's killing anyone who threatens him. You were kind to a stranger. That's why I chose you. Eli's breath caught. She chose him. He didn't know what terrified him more, that she was risking her life, or that now. So was he. He shoved the flash drive into his ancient laptop and waited. A folder opened. Inside, dozens of video files, voice recordings, bank records, contracts. One file had a name that stopped his pulse. Security footage, January 9th. Garage, a confidential. He clicked it. The screen lit up with a grainy image of an underground parking garage. A man, Cara's older brother, he recognized from news articles, walked toward a parked car. A second man, in a dark coat, stepped out from the shadows. No sound. They exchanged words. The brother looked angry. Then, suddenly, violence. The man in the coat shoved him hard. The camera caught everything. The The fall. The crack of his skull against the concrete pillar. The silence afterward. Eli gasped. The man didn't panic. Didn't run. He calmly took the car keys from the brother's pocket, got in, and slowly drove away, dragging the body with him. It had been staged as a car crash. But Cara had the truth. And now so did Eli. His hands trembled as he closed the laptop. She wasn't lying. She was hunted. And whoever killed her brother was still out there. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. He walked the floor of his apartment for hours. He thought about returning the check. Thought about calling the police. Thought about how easy it would be to throw the flash drive into the river and forget this ever happened. But her voice haunted him. You gave me your last dollar. That meant something. He looked at the laptop again. The videos weren't just evidence. They were a death sentence. If the wrong person found out he had them. A knock at the door snapped him out of his spiral. Soft, not urgent. He grabbed a wrench from the counter before answering. It was Mrs. Delaney, his elderly neighbor from down the hall. I saw a strange car downstairs, she whispered. Men in suits. Been sitting there for over an hour. Haven't gotten out. Eli's stomach dropped. They watching me? She nodded. I know what it looks like when people are hunting someone. My husband used to work intelligence. Don't let him corner you, sweetheart. He pressed his lips together. Thanks, Max. She reached into her sweater and handed him something wrapped in cloth. Your dad left this with me years ago. Said you might need it one day. It was a revolver. He stared at it, stunned. I can't take this. You already have. Now go, before it's too late. He grabbed his bag, stuffed the flash drive into a hidden pocket, and made his way down the back stairs. The car was still there, black, windows tinted, unmoving. He didn't wait to find out who was inside. He ran, down the alley, through side streets, until his lungs burned and his legs shook. He found refuge under the awning of a closed diner, pulled out his phone, dialed the number Cara had called him from. Disconnected, of course, but the drive burned in his pocket like it was alive. He couldn't keep this to himself. He had to get it to someone who could protect her. Who could protect him? He remembered something from one of the articles. Cara had one ally in the company, a man named Thomas Veyron, former head of security, disgraced after he accused the board of covering up financial crimes. If anyone knew the truth, it was him. Eli searched until he found a P.O. box in Ohio tied to Thomas's name. Then he did the unthinkable. He mailed the drive, with a simple note. This is the proof. Help her. Then he went off-grid. No calls. No cards. No contact. But the storm was only just warming up. Because the next morning, while holed up in a motel under a different name, there was a knock at the door. But this time, it wasn't a stranger. It was Cara. Alive. Shivering. Eyes wild. I didn't know where else to go, she whispered. Then she collapsed in his arms. Eli locked the door behind her, pulled the curtains, and checked the windows twice before turning to Cara. She was curled on the edge of the motel bed, soaked, shivering, arms around her knees like a child. You're freezing, he said, tossing her a dry towel. Where the hell have you been? Nowhere safe. He sat across from her, waiting, not pressing, not demanding, but his mind was spinning. You said someone killed your brother, that you had proof. She nodded slowly. You saw it. I saw it. Then you know why I had to run. He leaned forward. I mailed it. To Thomas Veyron. You should have it by now. Cara looked up sharply, something between panic and awe in her eyes. You trusted me that much. You gave me a check for $250,000 for gas money. You risked your life for that drive. You didn't have to. People don't do that unless they're trying to make something right. She didn't reply for a moment, then whispered, I'm tired of being a pawn in their games. Eli lowered his voice. Tell me everything. No filters. No corporate spin. Just truth. She exhaled, slow and painful. My brother, Mason, he found out the company was laundering funds through shell corporations, private military contracts, offshore accounts, stuff that could ruin us. Us. My family name. Our legacy. My father built Whitmore Enterprises from nothing. After he died, Mason was supposed to inherit everything. But when he tried to expose it, the board turned against him. And one man in particular, Randall Krell, the CFO. He wanted the company for himself. So Mason had an accident. And you. I was supposed to stay quiet, pretend it was a tragic loss, take the CEO position and smile for the press. But I couldn't. Her eyes burned now. I started digging. And when I found the footage you saw, I knew I couldn't stay. I tried to go to the police. 2 days later, my apartment was trashed. My driver disappeared. My assistant was hospitalized in a hit and run. Eli shook his head slowly. They're covering tracks. They're erasing people. A long silence filled the room. Why me? He finally asked. Why give this to a broke mechanic from a dead-end town? Cara looked up at him, eyes raw. Because when I was stranded, scared, and desperate, you helped me. No questions. No expectations. Just kindness. That's rare in my world. By midnight, they knew staying wasn't an option. Eli borrowed a burner phone from a friend he trusted, an old veteran named Denny who ran a scrapyard, and called Veron. It rang twice. Who is this? Eli Madsen. I sent you something. A flash drive. Silence. Then, where are you? Safe enough. I got it. I watched it. I've been waiting years for this. We can take them down, but you need to move. Now. They've already tracked the motel you're in. Eli froze. What? You've got maybe 30 minutes. Then men will show up. Real ones. Not cops. Not agents. Mercs. Eli hung up and turned to Cara. Grab your things. We're leaving. Now. They barely made it out the back door before headlights turned into the lot. Black vans. 2 of them. Eli's truck was parked 3 blocks over. They ran, Cara stumbling once, Eli catching her by the arm. Every step felt like a countdown to something terrible. They didn't stop until they were back on the road, speeding through the dark, cornfields on both sides. Cara looked over, breathless. Where are we going? Anywhere they're not expecting us. By dawn, they crossed state lines. And then, silence. For a week, they stayed hidden. Cheap motels, fast food, quiet roads. Eli used cash. No phones. No credit cards. During the quiet hours, they planned. Veron would leak the files to the press. Eli would show up at a shareholders' emergency meeting Cara secretly called for. She still held one key card no one else knew about. Her father's original will. Unaltered. It proved Cara, not Randall, was the legal controlling owner of the company. If she could reclaim her title publicly, expose the crimes, and turn over evidence to the right people at the right time, it wouldn't just ruin Randall. It would end his reign forever. But it had to be done in person. On record. In front of cameras. One shot. No second chances. The night before the meeting, they sat under the stars on the hood of the truck. You scared? She asked softly. Eli stared at the sky. Yeah, but not for me. For you. She looked over, smiling faintly. That's the thing about you, Eli. You keep thinking like that. You still believe in people. Even after everything. He looked at her, finally asking the question he'd been holding back. And you? Do you still believe? She hesitated, then nodded. Because you gave me a reason to. The room buzzed with whispers as Cara walked in beside Eli. Every seat was taken. Cameras were ready. No one expected her return. But she looked calm, confident, hair tied back, face clear, no need to prove herself anymore. At the head of the room, Randall stood slowly, stunned. Cara, you didn't expect me, she said, her voice steady. But I never left. I just waited for the right moment. She placed a file on the table and nodded to the board's legal advisor. He opened it. Cara's father's original will. Legitimate. Untouched. And beside it, evidence. Documents. Emails. Footage. They played the video on the big screen. Everyone saw what happened in that garage. No one said a word. When it ended, the silence was deep. The lawyer spoke softly. This changes everything. 2 uniformed officers stepped forward. Randall looked around, his supporters frozen, the press already capturing everything. He didn't fight. He just lowered his head and let them escort him out. No shouting. No arguing. Just the end of a long lie. Outside the building, under flashes of cameras and reporters' voices, Cara turned to speak. I'm not here to talk about money or power, she said. I'm here because one kind person helped me when I had no one. She looked toward Eli. He gave me his last dollar when I didn't even tell him my name. He reminded me there's still good in the world. Eli stayed quiet, his hands in his jacket, watching her speak like the world had finally started to make sense again. 6 months later, a fresh sign hung above a newly renovated garage. Madsen Auto and Rescue. Eli wiped his hands as a car pulled in. It was Cara. She stepped out, wearing casual clothes, holding 2 cups of coffee. Place looks good, she said, smiling. I've had a lot of help, he replied. She leaned against the truck. So what now? He smiled. Now I pay it forward. One kind act at a time. She nodded. No spotlight. No grand speech. Just a quiet moment between two people who changed each other's lives forever.